Okay, this is going to be another video. Uh, Again, still Easter, Resurrection Day, the 8th day. Okay, I was going to do something else. God always does this. He switches it. So whatever last is on my mind, is what I make the video. But anyway, this one's going to be about the 8th day, right? What is it? Oh, Brit Milah. It's a celebration. So this is going to be for the Jews, actually. Brit Milah is a celebration that happens on the 8th day of the birth of a person. So a person is born, right? And then they get circumcised, a male, not just a person, right? Women don't get circumcised. At least I don't know, man. I should ask, right? But yeah, so a male is born, right? And he's circumcised on the 8th day. Why does God do this? So this is again for Israel. Just talk to God about this, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he'll give you understanding for sure. So why the 8th day? So you have 7 days in a week, right? Sunday was the first day, and everything is made evening to morning. So in those 7 days, right? God made everything in 7 days, in 6 days, and He rested on the seventh, right? So when you circumcise your child, to God, it's the 8th day represents resurrection. So it's really interesting because even the Jews have a practice and a custom. I mean, you guys know. You guys know that when you circumcise, you also give the name. So when you guys give the name of the child, it's on the 8th day. Just like when Jesus was resurrected, it was also on the 8th day, which is the second one, or the new beginning. God does these things on purpose. Like the reason He has the circumcision be on the 8th day is not only a biological reason, has to do with protection and healing faster. I don't know. There's research about it. You guys can look it up. But He does it for the spiritual reason that Christ was going to be resurrected on the 8th day. And just in terms of understanding, like it might be offensive, it might be gross, but just think about it. In terms of Jesus coming down to earth, we can see that His glory was covered. So there's a reason that God says that a man who prays with his head covered is a disgrace to his head. It's because men have a head, which is Christ, and Christ now in His resurrection, His glory should not be covered. Man is called the glory of God, and God's glory should not be covered. So with the whole circumcision thing, again, I can go into great detail about like what it specifically means, but I'm going to keep it just on glory. Like man's glory, there's a piece of us, there's a piece of man that He values above any other piece. And He treats it with special care and special attention, right? And we know this. If you're a man, you're like, oh, people call it my mini-me, or my second member, my other head. Like, these are ridiculous terms, but it's all because that's a special area to us. We know that. Like, hey, it's my friend. It's my penis, right? This penis, it doesn't come into the world uncovered. It comes to the world covered. So it's our glory. Like my glory is, well, man's glory is my glory is gonna be my wife when we join together. But the way we actually join together is through that glory, right? So she's my glory, and this is a part of that glory, right? That's why they fit together. That's why we become one. Rabbi told me that they become one in the child. Anyway, it doesn't make a difference. I don't view it that way. Like I think we become one, literally one woman, one flesh. We become one in the sexual union. But anyway, I call this my glory, and my glory has a foreskin. That foreskin is a covering for my glory. You don't want to cover something that's glorious. So on the 8th day is when Jesus has resurrection, and on the 8th day is when God's glory is revealed to earth. So the circumcision happened. The circumcision happens, and God's flesh is no longer covered. Like God's glory, which represents Christ, is no longer covered. When He was here, He was limited. He became man, and He became limited for our sake, and that represents a covering for God. Because you can understand some of what God has to say through Jesus Christ and His physical ministry. But the way you really understand, and again, He says this, when I go to the Father, I'm going to send the Helper, and the Helper is really going to help you guys understand. Because everything is going to be done through God's Spirit at that point. And God's Spirit is um, stronger than the temporary flesh that God came down in. So that temporary flesh was Jesus Christ incarnate, and he became in likeness of sinful flesh. So that sinful flesh is the foreskin on God's glory. Uh, but on the eighth day, God reveals himself resurrected, full, like Jesus is full on that day, and that would represent the circumcised penis, a glory that's not covered. Um, and there's multiple reasons why this is why circumcision is really important to God as a symbol and as a covenant. And the main part has already been said, that our penis represents our glory, and it's our weakest, and it's our weakest area, and it's the best area that we have as human males, that we have down there, and we're uncovering it. There's other ways of also seeing it. Again, those may be too crude, but just the eighth day happens for that reason. The circumcision happens on the eighth day because Jesus was going to be resurrected, and God's glory was going to be forever uncovered. There's no way Jesus is going to go back to that previous weak body that he had, because now he's been circumcised. There's just like me, I'm circumcised. There's no way I can be uncircumcised, right? So the same way Jesus now forever exists in an eternal state of revealed glory is the same way that an Israelite's penis exists in an eternal state of uncovered glory because of the sign of the circumcision and the seal of the circumcision that God had given Abraham. Anyway, just think about it, talk to God about it, and let me know what you guys think. Like, this is just something God showed me. There's other things that I can talk to you about. It's better to talk in person, especially about this specific thing. Like, anything that has to do with those areas down there, like, I don't know. I don't like making too clear videos on those. But yeah, I mean, just if you message me, I'll be able to, if you guys want, I'll make a video on it. But to the pure, all things are pure. Like, sex is a wonderful symbol of Jesus Christ. So I don't care. But it may be a lot to chew on. Anyway, just think about this. Pray to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and see what he tells you. And again, peace and love through Jesus Christ.